we have the story of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And they're friends of Jesus. We know this because the scripture says that Jesus visited Bethany, this little town 2 miles from Jerusalem, on a regular basis. And this is where Martha, Mary, and Lazarus lived. And so lo and behold, here comes Jesus. He's coming to visit. And it said, the scriptures, it's interesting, the scripture says Martha opened up her home to Jesus. Not just Jesus, there were some disciples there with him. Because you see, Jesus was a very popular rabbi. In fact, probably the most famous rabbi in all the land. He always had lots of people following him. So here they come to Martha and Mary and Lazarus' home. And Martha decides she's going to prepare this great feast for Jesus. I think about it. My goodness, Martha, she probably got up early that morning, went to the marketplace and said, oh, I just need everything to be perfect. Everything. Man, she probably got some fresh fish from the Jordan River, some dates and pomegranate, other items of fresh vegetables. And then she said, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to go back home. She goes back home, cleans the house, cleans the yard, getting everything. She goes, Jesus is coming. You know, this is a famous man. And Jesus is coming, and she prepares the meal. Jesus shows up. He walks in, grabs the pillow, sits down, and like any ordinary rabbi, he begins to teach. That's what he liked.
Mary, she comes up and she sits at the feet of Jesus while he teaches. And Martha
is not a happy camper. You know, Martha comes out. She's already had everything prepared. She serves the hors d'oeuvres. You know, this was the time before takeout. You know, no KFC, nothing like that. She had to fix everything. Think about it. Here's Martha. She comes out, and all of a sudden, she gives the eye roll to Mary.
I'm listening to Jesus, Martha.
You know, get your family in the back room with me, honey.
I'm busy. Listen to the story.
Another time she comes out, she says, you know, I can picture Martha upset. And she gives her Mary that shoulder roll. You know what I'm talking about. Come on. No. And finally, in frustration, she says, Jesus, make my sister come back here and help me. Man, all she wants to do is sit there and be that lazy younger sister of mine, wanting me to do all the work like usual.
And Jesus says to Mary, don't worry, I got your back. Paraphrased it there, didn't I?
This is a good paraphrase.
Jesus, I got your back. Don't worry about your sister.
Jesus says, Martha, Martha, man, you're worried about so many things, but one thing you lack. And you know, sometimes people look at this story and they think that Jesus talking to Martha.
Give me your hand. You're good. There we go. Thank you. It helps. It helps. Thank you.
So oftentimes people look at this and they think that Jesus was kind of rebuking Martha. I don't believe that. You see, without Martha, dinner wouldn't have been served. Think about it. There would have been no dinner if it hadn't been for Martha. The problem was not with Martha serving. The problem was she forgot who she was serving. She forgot who she had Jesus in her house. She invited Jesus to her house. She forgot for a moment who she was serving. And I think sometimes that happens with us. Yeah. When it comes to the ministry of helps and servers, we think, oh, I'm not getting any credit. You know what? The best servers are the ones who really don't care. They really are. And I think, too, that here in this story, you know, and my mind went just, it happens when you get old.
Well, you know, when I used to come have class on Wednesdays and stay till 10, Ricky decided I should probably get out of the church so I'm not there so long. So I did learn a little bit about Mary and Martha. I go to his house. He's a wonderful host. He makes everything look just right, and none of the food touches. He has had a wonderful, wonderful boneless pork chop that he shaked and baked, and we had a vegetable and a pile of potatoes, and then we had to have a pickled beet for color. And then he comes from the kitchen all prepared where I'm going to sit and where Paul's going to sit, and then he sits there and waits. You could tell him, how do you like it? You know, Paul and I are busy eating, it's really good. And he's like, well, I hope you like pickled beets. We needed something for color. That's why I call him Martha. When he cooked for the Seder meal, you know, he was doing creamer. so bad for him. I had him not only prepare the soup, he was going to do the Seder meal and wash feet on his knees. I promised him never again. If he's gonna make the soup, I'm going to have to learn Hebrew and wash feet, because that was pretty hard on poor Martha. But see, we all believe there was only one feeding, that one with Lazarus and Mary and Martha. But as we dug, we found out there was a second meal that happened.
Exactly.
There was a second meal that they had.
You know what's exciting about the second meal, though, is you really see that Martha was a woman of faith.
Yes, she was.
Because the second meal takes place after Lazarus is raised from the dead. For those of you that don't know, Lazarus, the brother, dies. Jesus comes. In fact, he's late, 4 days late. That's why we're singing the song later. 4 days late. Comes, raises Lazarus, but we see Martha as a woman of faith.
Did you know I know King James?
You do?
Yeah. She said, "Oh, Jesus, he stinketh." He's been in there 4 days. He stinketh.
That's exactly what
That's what
she
it
said.
says. It stinketh.
But I know that Martha was a woman of faith because she said, "Jesus, if you had been here, you could have healed my brother and he'd still be alive."
They're so crying.
They are crying.
The whole family, Mary and Martha, they're crying.
Oh,
they're mourning.
And if you don't know any Bible verses, guess what? You can know this one. Jesus wept. It's the shortest.
Yeah.
Shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept.
So now you got stinketh and Jesus wept. You're on the way, aren't you? And Jesus said, "Come fortheth."
But then, what about Mary? You know, there's something about Mary. And I'm not talking about the movie. That really paints a picture in your brain, doesn't it? It does mine. I saw the film.
It was all about Mary.
It was all about Mary.
Yeah.
But this Mary's a different character. Yeah.
So Mary in the first dinner sat at the feet of Jesus and listened. And we always give Martha a bad rap, and Ricky straightened that out, that she really was a wonderful hostess. So they're crying. And they call to Jesus and they say, "Lazarus is dead, why are you late?" And Jesus saw their pain and wept. And then Martha invites everybody to a meal. Now what I want to tell you is the disciples did not get resurrection. They just saw a man come out of a tomb that stinketh alive.